Hello gamers and welcome to the Casual Diablo channel. In this video I will try to explain how to do some crafting in Diablo 4. Perhaps you wanted to follow some build, some guide, and there were some aspects, legendary aspects that were included in every item, and you are wondering how the hell do I drop items with perfect legendary affixes and legendary aspects? That is just not possible. And you are right, that is pretty much not possible. You have to make your own. So how do you do that? Well, bear with me, because this is exactly what I will be explaining in this video. I will be giving you step-by-step directions so you can follow exactly and do it easily. So, let's get to it. I have prepared 3 examples. So let's have a look here. Let's imagine you have dropped this ring. This is a rare ring. Obviously this is a high level ring because this is the character I'm playing right now, approaching level 90, but it doesn't matter. The principle stays exactly the same whether you're level 4, level 10, level 50 or level 100. So you drop a rare item, and this rare item is decent. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it's decent. So for example, in my build, I want to have damage to frozen enemies, and it's on that ring. And I want vulnerable damage, and it's also on that ring. Awesome! What I don't want is life regeneration while not damaged recently, but I already have 2 good stats, so that's perfect. How can I make that ring usable? Because really not having a legendary aspect gets pretty hard even if you are leveling. Having those makes a very big difference. So let's take a look and follow it step by step. First step, when we have a rare item, we would like to enchant it. What does it mean? Follow here. We walk. We are in the main city and we are walking to the left. All the way over here to the occultist NPC. We speak with her and we ask her, hey, can you please enchant our item? Right click on the item and you have a possibility to choose which stat you would like to change. Well, like I said, I don't like this one. Enchant. And you can see that the cost here is ridiculously high. If you're just beginning the game, you probably never seen 65,000 gold, let alone this crafting material. Don't worry, the cost of that is scaling throughout your leveling campaign. So for example, if you go here with your, say, level 10 or 15 item, the cost will be very manageable for you. So I accept, and I have the list. So I don't want this one, and I have 3 choices. I can either get crackling energy, which is useless for my build because I'm an ice shards wizard. I can get critical strike chance, which is perfect, I want that. Or, if all the options were bad, I can have no chance. So let's stick with the 2.2 critical strike chance. I replace the affix. Now this is how my ring looks like. Alright, time for the next step. So I would like to add some legendary affix aspect, it's called in Diablo 4. So, what do I do with that? Well, Diablo offers you an option to imprint an aspect in the same NPC. You enter the item and you can either select one from the Codex of Power, which are unlocked from the dungeons, or you can have one from your inventory, and we will get to that example later. So let's go with the first option, the Codex of Power. How do you get things here? In the world map, there are dungeons, and if you complete some of them, a specific aspect is given to you. Let's imagine following the example of the Ice Shards Sorcerer. The first aspect that is very interesting to you is the one, well, with the Ice Shards. So, very early, you start your campaign over here. This is where your character is being born. You walk all the way here up to the main city, and then a little bit later, you take whichever route you want, but you end up in this city here, called Yelesna. And to the right of this city, there is this dungeon called Dead Man's Dredge. If you complete this item, you get this particular aspect. How do you know which aspect do you get? Well, if you haven't received it already, I did for this dungeon, but if I didn't for another dungeon, let's have a look. For example, I don't have one here. It just tells you, you hover over it on the world map and it tells you what kind of aspect you get and what does it do. So here we can get Blast Trapper's aspect. But let's not digress, let's come back to this item. If you have completed the dungeon called Dead Man's Dredge, and you go to the occultist, and you would like to imprint this ring, if you go to the Codex of Power, you will have the option here, Ice Shards pierce 3 times, dealing a little bit less damage per each pierce, and it says it's unlocked by completing this particular dungeon. You simply select it, you accept the cost, which again will be much lower for you, you imprint it, accept, and there you go, you have your ring almost usable. Why do I say almost usable? Well, it's missing one important thing, it doesn't have a socket. How do you fix that? There we go, follow with me. We walk all the way to this house, speak to this NPC, we select the option to add sockets, add the item, the cost, again disregard, and there we go. We have a ring that's usable, and we can put any jewel we want in it. I recommend putting a skull into jewelry, because it gives you armor. I have skulls everywhere, it makes your character a little bit more tanky. First item ready, get ready for the second one. Alright, second example, going right up. So, another ring that I have right here. It has some damage to close enemies. Well, I'm thinking most of the enemies I'm fighting are pretty close to me. It might be something unusual to a sorceress, but the playstyle of this build is actually right in the enemy's face. So, I would like to have some damage to close enemies, right? And vulnerable damage, that's perfect. And some cold damage, well, I'm having all sorts of cold skills over here, perfect. But there is some maximum mana, that has some value, it's not worthless. However, I would like to have something even more offensive, like, you know, crit damage or crit strike. So, let's follow along. And again, we start with the occultist, because we would like to enchant this item first. Okay, here we go. We talk to her. We select the enchant, and we don't want the mana. Alright, here we go. What options will we get? Oh, again, I'm so lucky. This is like, you know, YouTuber streamer RNG, because the second time I show you a reroll, I immediately get a critical strike chance, and this one actually is very high. And what do I mean by very high? Look, if I hover over an item, it shows me ranges that each stat can roll, and I have received 4.6 critical strike chance out of 5.0. In the first example I was doing, it was only 2.2, it was pretty bad roll, so I could possibly go on and try to reroll this, but rerolling is expensive, so you don't want to be doing that too much. As long as the item is usable for you while you're leveling, that's good enough. If, for example, you would like to craft some sort of late game item, say level 60 plus, I would definitely go and try to reroll this again. You can keep going as long as you want, but each reroll gets more and more expensive, so be very careful with the cost. Accept the good option, and as long as it's good enough for you, stick with it. Alright, so again we have rerolled this ring, and we have 4 nice stats actually right now. This is a very nice ring, very good, but it doesn't have any legendary affix. So what do? We can either imprint it again using the aspect from a dungeon, but take a look right here. The ice shards I have imprinted pierce 3 times, and in the parentheses it says it's possible that it's get between 3 and 4. By the way, how do you get those values in the parentheses to show up? Let me show you right here. You go to the options, you go to gameplay, and you say advanced tooltip information. You want this enabled because it shows you all the ranges possible on an item, so that you know if the roll that you got is actually good or it's bad. So enable that in the options, save changes, and let's come back to our item. Alright, 4 good stats. It already has a socket, so we don't have to do that. What else can we do? Well, we can add a legendary affix, but we would like to have something not very common, not something coming from dungeon, but something you have found on another item. So I have this amulet over here. The stats are in the trash, it's like not a usable amulet, but it has this legendary affix that I would like. I like the avalanche key passive to now apply to 1 additional cast. So how can I move it from here to that ring? Well, I'm at the right place again, because the occultist does it all with the legendary affixes. So right now I ask her to extract the aspect. I put the item in, and there is a preview what I will receive. This aspect can be applied on some items that are listed here. So rings, amulets, gloves, and weapons, and offhands. I extract the aspect, and what happened? It's gone. Well, luckily it's not gone. So let me show you where it went. Over here to your aspects tab. Right here, this is the one. Now I can take it and apply it to an item I want. How do I do that? Well, select the item from the equipment. Now I don't choose one from the Codex of Power. I select one from my aspects tab. Check the preview. Is the ring what I wanted? Yes. All right, let's imprint it. Is it there? Yeah, perfect. Done. Well, is it done? Oh, we can take it a step further. What is the next step further? This is the step I do not recommend doing too much during leveling, and because it's expensive and it doesn't do that much. So right here we have an option. Hold on, my camera is blocking the screen over here. Upgrade. I can move the item over here and upgrade it up to tier 5 at the end game maximum. Well, upgrade at the beginning is fairly cheap. You get the materials from disenchanting your items at the blacksmith. And upgrading a tier or maybe 2 or even 3 is not that expensive. Although be careful with those wild crystals, because at the beginning of the game they are extremely precious and you don't want to be spending them just on upgrading, because each tier, as you can see, makes a difference. It does make a difference, but it's not a game changer. So don't upgrade too much if you don't have to during the leveling. Okay, item number 2, ready to use and put it in your build. Alright, one more thing regarding upgrading your items. So regarding the jewelry, you upgrade it, well, at the jeweler, that's pretty obvious, but the other items, the weapons and the armor, is being upgraded at the blacksmith. So same here, you can go here, select an item, a weapon in this case, and upgrade, and it gives you a preview. Why am I showing this simple thing that's pretty obvious to most of you? Well, I want to make a point here. So the best value for your money while you are leveling a new character is actually upgrading your weapon, but don't upgrade it too much again, because you will be replacing your weapons very often while leveling, because this is your main source of damage. So new weapons every 5, maybe 10 levels. And every 5 to 10 levels you would like, when you replace it, to upgrade it a little bit. Let's say 2 tiers, because this is the sweet spot in my opinion while leveling. You upgraded it twice, the damage goes up. No big investment, very big difference in how your character feels. So this was something I wanted to add to the upgrading items. Let's see method number 3 of changing your items. Let's imagine you have dropped these legendary boots. Oh god, legendary boots. But okay, they have Frost Nova. You want Frost Nova because if you're playing Frost Sorceress, that's very good. And it has intelligence. Oh, dodge chance against distant enemies, useful, but the dexterity is like, oh my god, what do you do with that? Well, you probably don't want that. And the legendary aspect here, becoming injured while ground control, that doesn't sound very strong. How do you fix that? Well, let me show you how do you fix that. Again, you start going to the occultist. Let's go. Alright, here we are, a lot of walking through the town. We have those boots. What can we do with them? Well, we don't do that. We want to enchant, so we want to change the dexterity first. Let's change it to something different. Well, the cost is a little bit higher. You can definitely tell if you're trying to change your own item, that the cost is higher if the item is legendary. Alright, let's change it. Mana cost reduction, some lightning resistance, both better than dexterity. Let's go with mana cost reduction. I wanted some movement speed, but the cost for the second time is much higher. I don't want to spend that much money. I will stick with the mana cost reduction. The 5.8 from the range, it's about average, maybe a little bit on the higher end, but not that much. Okay, but what do we do with this bad legendary aspect? If I would like to take it away, so extract it, it will actually destroy the item, so you don't want to do that. You would like to imprint it, despite the fact that it has an legendary aspect already. So what can you do? Well, again, you can select one of those, that you have from the dungeons, or you can imprint something that you have found on another item. Let me show you what I do. Alright, so what do we have here? In my stash, I have stashed a bunch of legendary items that I found on my way, and you will also find a lot of those, with some legendary aspects that are useful, but the items itself is not great. And right here, I have those boots that, look at that. They have, when you hit a crowd controlled enemy, there is up to a 50% chance. I look at the roll between 30 and 50. 50 is the best chance for that crowd control effect to spread to another affected enemy. To be honest, this legendary aspect is not the best for my build, but for the sake of this example, let's imagine it is, and you would like to use it, because you imagine that, for example, if you freeze enemies, it will like have a chance to spread. It's not worth to use it on this build, to be honest, but let's go through it for the sake of teaching you how to move an aspect from one item to another. Walking back all the way to the occultist. Let's grab a horse to get faster there. Alright, almost here. Welcome back. Alright, so we would like to extract the aspect from those shoes. Boom. Is it here? Good. Now I would like to imprint the item. So I choose the boots. I choose the aspect. Make sure it's good. I imprint it. Alright, look at that. Now I have the shoes I would like to use with a completely different imprinted legendary aspect. There you go. That's how you craft your items for use while leveling, while approaching the end game, and while even at the very end game. There is no way you will find well-rolled, well, no way. It is possible. It's extremely unlikely you will find well-rolled items with good legendary aspects. You have to make your own. If you're not doing that, well, you're missing out. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. And if not, please, if you reached it this far, please like, subscribe, and support my brand new channel. See you in the next video.